out in real time with the war in Israel. That we are seeing our institutions, we're seeing the universities, we're seeing journalism, we're seeing government, all acting under capture and control of the hard left, of the radical Marxists. You know, with the book, I sat down to write it because, you know, many of us have had the reaction over recent years, what the hell is going on? I mean, the world has gone crazy, and what we've seen is virtually every major institution in our country has been seized by the radical left. And so I sat down in this book to explain, okay, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And importantly, what do we do to fix it? How do we fight back? And so it starts with universities. And I describe universities as the Wuhan lab of the woke virus. Universities are where it started, where it was created, where it mutated, and where it spread. And sadly, Harvard University, where I went to law school, is ground zero for this. And it started back in the 60s and 70s with just plain Jane vanilla Marxists, people who adhered to Karl Marx. As you know well, Marx viewed the world as economically determined, with an inevitable struggle between the oppressors and the victims. And for him, it was a socioeconomic frame, so the oppressors were the owners of capital, the victims were the proletariat, the workers, and the solution was a violent overthrow by the proletariat to forcibly seize the means of production from the owners of capital and to use government to redistribute it to the victims instead. And what happened, that was initially economic, but at the universities, it then shifted into cultural arenas, and they applied the same lens to race, and we got critical race theory. Same idea, the Marxist battle between oppressors and victims, this time based on race. They believe America's irredeemably racist, and the answer is to use government force and violence to take from the oppressors and give to the victims. They also use the same frame on gender and gender ideology and the extremes they've embraced there. Now, you look at what's happening in Israel. About a week ago, I was sitting down with a very successful tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley, who's historically been quite left. And he was really disturbed and frankly confused why universities right now are so obviously, viciously anti-Israel, viciously anti-Semitic, why a significant chunk of the Democrat Party, the squad, the far left, is blatantly anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. And he was asking why, and I said, look, the reason is simple. In their worldview, which is a Marxist worldview, Jews are coded as the oppressors. They're the bad guys. Palestinians are coded as the victims. And their answer is what's happening right now. The violent overthrow, including murder of civilians, including horrible atrocities. But to the Marxist, all of that is justified if you are murdering the people you have deemed to be the oppressors. And we've seen the interconnection. For example, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, as you know, is an explicitly Marxist organization founded by trained Marxist organizers, and they're virulently anti-Israel. They put out, Black Lives Chicago put out a tweet with an image of the paraglider saying, we stand with the Palestinians. Of course, the paraglider, they're the ones that came in and murdered hundreds of teenagers and young people just attending a concert in Israel. And this is all, if you have the hard left Marxist worldview, it explains the 19-year-old idiot at a college campus who's cheering for the death squads and not the women and children who are being slaughtered.
What accounts for, and you cover this thoroughly in the book, Unwoke, How to Defeat Cultural